Hi there, and welcome back to rLounge. A brave man is a man who dares to look the devil in the face and tell him he is a devil. The devil doesn't live in comic books. He's in those who pretend they have good intentions. Oh, and he loves air conditioning. Up first, comic books aren't evil, Karens are. Karen wigs out after kid discovers she sold his comics. This happened back in the 90s when I had my second comic store. One afternoon I was in my store going through inventory when a woman walked in. This was unusual back then because, well, it was. I saw that she did have the precursor to what would become the Karen cut, was wearing large rimmed glasses and a skirt that was the style back then. I figured she might be looking for a gift for her son, so I asked her if I could help. She asked me if I bought boxes of comics. I told her usually not, unless there was something I could use, but I would take a look. So we go to her car and bring in a couple of long boxes. These hold about 300 unbagged boarded books, or 250 boarded, and I went through them. They were all bagged and seemed to be in good shape. They were the popular books at the time: X-Men, Hulk, Ghost Rider. I thought I could sell them and offered her $100 for the lot, and she accepted. She left and I put the boxes on a table to price them and sort them out. About 20 minutes later, a kid, about 12, walks in and looks at the books on the wall and notices the boxes. He asked if they were for sale and I said yes, but they weren't priced out yet, so if there was something he wanted, I'd give him the price then, and he started looking through them. After a few seconds, he had a strange look on his face and I asked him if something was wrong. I'll never forget what he said.
"These are my books."
I said, "What?" And he repeated it. I asked him if he could verify it, and he said that he had a code written on every board and he could recite them. I then pulled out 5 books at random and he nailed every code. I asked him to describe his mother and he described the woman that sold me the books. I told him not to worry, he'll get them back. I asked for his phone number and I called it, placed it on speaker and waited. After a few rings, she answered and I responded. "Mrs. Karen, your son is here and informed me that the books you sold me did not belong to you. Will you please come down and give me back the $100 so he can have his books back, as I do not buy stolen merchandise?" Her response?
"My son is in your effing store?"
She screams at him to get out of there now and never to set foot in there again. She shrieks that if he ever comes in, she will have me arrested. The kid was in tears. All he muttered was,
"You stole my books."
She continues her rant.
"I don't want that crap in my house. Get out now."
And then she slams the phone down. I let the kid sit down while I processed what just happened. While this was going on, another kid and his mother saw him and said hello and saw he was crying. They knew him, and the new kid's mother asked what happened, and the kid told her. She was, to say the least, disgusted, and said she'll take him home and have a few words with his mother. Before he left, I asked him what he wanted to do. He said, "Do whatever it takes." I asked, "Even call the police?" He said yes. I said I'm going to try one more thing before that. About 7:30 that night, I called the number, this was before caller ID, and got the father and explained what happened that afternoon. Only thing he said was, "She did what?" I repeated, and again he said the same. Then Karen realized who he was talking to and started screaming. The father just said for her to shut up. Then he thanked me and said he would handle it, and asked me what time I closed. About 15 minutes later, I see the kid and his father with Karen being dragged along, and she is shrieking so loud dogs 3 counties away had bleeding ears. He drags her in and tells her to give me back the $100. She yells that she doesn't want that crap in her house and she won't do it. She's going to have me arrested for selling this crap to children, and how could they let me open in this town? She hated Superman and baseball cards. She breaks away from the father and attempts to kick out my showcase, and it was only because he managed to grab her collar and yank her back that they weren't smashed. She then tried to shove my computer off the counter, but I managed to stop her. The father gave me back what I paid plus a little extra for all the BS and apologized. Karen said she'll just set them on fire. Father said no. He is bringing them to his business and we keep them safe from her. He also said he would come with the kid in the future. Now I found out the aftermath about 10 years later secondhand, so I can't verify. Karen basically destroyed the relationship and never apologized. After the kid graduated, he joined the army, married and had a kid. He doesn't see her often, but allows contact when the father is there. Over comic books. I have seen worse. Now there are those who are probably asking, why didn't I ask her if they were hers? I didn't think of it, but since then, when a woman says she has comics to sell, I ask, are they yours? Out of all the times, at least 50, and in the last 10 years, only one said they were hers. I then ask, do you have the owner's permission? Never a yes. I tell them, I don't accept stolen property. One of these was quite entertaining. At a flea market I used to do, a woman walked to my booth and asked me if I bought comics. I asked her, are they yours? She said no. I then asked if she had permission, and again, no. I asked, why do you want to sell them? Her reason? He's too old to be reading comics. He was 37. I said, ma'am, I'm 49 at the time, and said I read comics. A guy looking through my book said, ma'am, I'm 72 and I read comics. She huffed that we were immature idiots. The guy said, at least I'm not stealing my kids' books. Have a nice day. This is not the worst incident I have had, but is in the top 20. Bicycle Scientician from the community says, in my head, when the 72-year-old turns and says he still reads them, it's a Stan Lee cameo. Netflix and Chill says, Excelsior! Majin says, I accept and embrace that headcanon. Rowan1980 says, headcanon accepted. Use the Swartz says, my folks always encouraged me and my brother to collect baseball cards, comic books, coins, stamps, whatever. On my 16th birthday, while I was at school, Mom decided to stop by the comic book shop in the next town just to see if they had any special edition comics she could get me for my birthday. She had never bought me a comic on her own before. I don't think she'd ever even been in a comic book store before. So when I got home from school and I went to the dining room table to start on my homework, there was a Death of Superman comic, regular, and right next to it was the Death of the Superman in the black bag with the red Superman symbol dripping blood. Mom knocked it out of the park that day. I wish we had comic book store shops around my area like when I was growing up. I think the closest one to me is 4 hours away. Infinite Geyer adds, not really in the same class exactly, but I am super into Magic the Gathering, and I've been playing it for almost 9 years now. I'm currently 22. Both my parents hated it because my dad always wanted a sporty son, and my mom always wanted a popular son with popular friends. My friend William, who also happens to be the man who taught me how to play Magic, always kept my cards in his locker for me because he knew that my parents hated Magic, and had tried before to destroy or throw away my collection. Reading this story brought back some good memories, and I hope you realize how grateful that kid must have been for you to go so far for him. I'll never forget William for introducing me to Magic and being the shelter against the monsoon of hate my parents unleashed when I told them about it. If you're reading this, Will, I love you, bro. Rakdos for life. Merciless Idiot has one more thought. My mother once fed my 4-month-old doggo Argentino my complete vintage Spider-Man collection. Very valuable. We're talking about thousands of dollars. Then pretended the dog somehow climbed the shelf, dragged them down, and destroyed all of them on her own. Her purpose was to make me hate that dog. Didn't work. That's super disappointing to hear that there's parents out there who really try to do whatever they can to stop their children from doing things that are actually so healthy for them. I mean, comics? Really? I didn't even know the devil lived in comic books. I feel like you'd want your kids to be creative and have some type of hobby like collecting comic books. It's better than them going out there, getting into trouble, and making a fool out of themselves. I wish parents were just more supportive of their children in general. Trying to live vicariously through your children is so dangerous to their well-being, and it's something that they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to get over. Additionally, I don't think there's any way you could have known that the books weren't hers. But I think it's not a bad idea to do something like that moving forward, just to be sure. Definitely not your fault, though. What are your thoughts? What's something your parents weren't supportive of? Did they try to force you into hobbies that you weren't at all interested in? Up next, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's things. Ex-girlfriend stole my car because her car was impounded. I, 27 male at the time, was dating this girl for about 6 months. We met at the mall in my city while I was looking for a gift for Mother's Day. She had a car that she got from an auction, which ran great but didn't have a working air conditioning and had body damage. She worked odd jobs because she was a high school dropout. Well, I once let her use my car, which works better than hers did because we went to a party and she was the designated driver. We got dinner that night, and that's when she said,
I really love your car. It has AC.
keep in mind, we were in the middle of a hot summer. I know, that's why I bought it, I said, being oblivious to her intentions. After we finished out dinner, I sobered up and took her home. I thought it was weird that she said that out of the blue. Every time she would go somewhere, she would ask to use my car. I wouldn't get it back until late night, or she would return it filled with trash. I once found a condom wrapper. From then on, I forbade her from using my car. After we broke up, due to her cheating and her drug problem, I woke up the next morning to find my car gone. I immediately called the cops and filed a report. My neighbor from across the street had a surveillance camera that luckily captured the incident. It turns out, my ex stole my car along with her mom. It didn't take long to find them. Her excuse was, her car was impounded. The reason, because she parked by a fire hydrant, had expired tags, and they thought it was abandoned. I'm glad she's doing time and I never have to see her again. The community reacts. Original version 6045 has the first thought. Wow, That is not only some entitlement, but some craziness. Stealing your car just like that, with her mother of all people, and being so blasé about it. Perhaps some time inside will help her sort herself out. Joker A34 says, wait, how long did it take you for you to dump her after finding a condom wrapper in your own car? That's scandalous. The OP replies, a week after giving her a chance to explain. Joker A34 says, that's 6 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds too long. B-Core chimes into the conversation. I wouldn't get it back until late at night, or she would return it filled with trash. A colleague once mentioned, you're treated the way you allow yourself to be treated. I hope nowadays you don't tolerate being treated badly. It is unacceptable to loan a car, bring it back late while filling out with trash. You shouldn't have tolerated that behavior. If being treated badly is still happening, I'm hoping the comment from that colleague gives you pointers on how to change it. Jesus Christ, what a mess. I don't think there's any way you could have really predicted that from happening. But to literally leave trash and a condom wrapper in her car? What? That's not just disrespectful, that's disgusting. I'm glad she didn't get in a wreck with it or anything, but the fact that you don't know what she did with your vehicle and stole it is totally violating. All of this because you were just trying to be a good guy and a good boyfriend. I'm sorry, OP. Hopefully there's a woman out there that deserves to drive your car and treat you with respect. Have you ever loaned your vehicle, or anything for that matter, to a friend and they totally violate your trust? Thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below. See you next time!